Let's talk about Kenobi now.
I had watched the Red Letter Media review of that because I was curious and I wanted to know. And I mean, they had positive things to say about it.
I did the same thing. And then when they were kind to it,
yeah. But like they were kind, but they were also realistic. It's like it wasn't good by any stretch of the imagination. And it was just like everything, all the problems I have with Kenobi are, aside from the poor acting, the fact that it looks like garbage, the fact that it's paced like garbage, the fact that it was unnecessary and stupid.
Well, it was supposed to be a movie, and then they expanded it into a limited series for no reason.
It's like everything they do in Kenobi just destroys canon, and it's like it doesn't make sense to me. If you're doing a show that's supposed to bridge the gap between established canon, and all you do is destroy established canon with that show. It's like, what the fuck?
Like, I think on paper it's a good idea. Like, hey, what if Obi-Wan found out that that Darth Vader guy was actually Anakin?
That's the one thing. There's no way he didn't know. There's no fucking way. Tatooine is out in the boondocks, but it's not outside of the galactic rumor mill.
I have just a huge problem with Tatooine in general as a location and as a set piece, and as it's used as every location and every set piece.
It is overused.
Like, this is the most important planet. Like, I know. I hate
it's only
it
important
so
if
much.
it's only important if you're talking about the Skywalkers or the Hutts. And even then, that's a small period of time.
Yeah, but it's enough to bring...
That's like, what, 30 years?
It's like a Nexus event. Everything passes through it, though. I mean...
Doesn't make it good.
No, it doesn't. That's why I don't like it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
But...
So, Kenobi, I have so many problems with. First of all, it being a Princess Leia story is ridiculous.
Why would you do that?
Why? Why not something else? You want to tell me an Obi-Wan story? Okay. How about the same setup, basic setup, somebody he knew from back when he was General Kenobi needs his help recovering their child. Yeah. It doesn't need to be Leia. It doesn't need to be Vader related.
No.
You can still have him fight the Inquisitors, and it's fine, because it's like, meanwhile,
there are parts of Kenobi that work. Like anything where it's him dealing with his crisis of faith.
Yeah, that was cool.
Amazing.
That was cool.
And like him, just like little things, like him walking around and seeing like the clone trooper veteran. Like that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Again, that's why this was going to originally be a movie, but they made it into a show, and they shouldn't have.
No.
PTSD Kenobi would have been a hell of a movie.
It would have been a hell of a movie.
Him being hunted by Inquisitors, or like maybe the Inquisitors sense like the Force in like a young Luke, and he's got to keep him away.
Not even that. Just like you could even use that to kind of like fix the prequels with like his really like kind of like you can use that vehicle to flesh out through flashbacks, of course, flesh out the thing with Anakin. They did that to a little bit, like that one episode.
It was unfortunate because the budget wasn't there for like the DCGI or makeup or whatever, so it looks a little cheap. But the idea was there, though. The idea was there. It was executed poorly. Remember how it builds up to them fighting each other not once but twice throughout the course of the show?
I hate that so much.
Do you remember that? Do you remember how they fought twice?
I hate that so much.
And do you remember how very little of it actually involved lightsabers? Do you remember when Vader drags Obi-Wan through the fire?
No. You remember the time when Darth Vader stopped a ship that was flying through the air and just dragged it to the ground?
Yes, I do remember that.
That's
as a matter of fact.
Stupid.
Do you also remember that during the last fight, all of a sudden, like Obi-Wan's like, oh wait, why are we using laser swords? I can just throw a bunch of fucking rocks.
Yeah, it's like.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Here's the thing, it's not good dumb either.
No, it's
not Godzilla fighting a tornado dumb, which happened, by the way. I read that book, and it's amazing. He fought a tornado and also knocked down the Twin Towers.
Does he run around in circles to make the tornado stop?
No, he wrestles it.
He wrestles a tornado.
He wrestles a tornado. I'm not even bullshitting you. It's Godzilla 2000. It's a young adult book that was produced in 1996, and it's bonkers as hell.
Oh my God.
It starts off with American G-Force recruiting teenagers through a video game to fight kaiju in the new spaceship.
I read a Godzilla book that was like a sequel to like 1984. Because they were talking about the bird technology, beat them once, maybe we can do that again.
Maybe we can use the birds again.
Yeah, the birds wait once.
No, it's not that fun kind of stupid. It's Kenobi legit stupid. Like, hey, It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have the whole time. He's gonna have a big adventure with childhood Leia, and it's not gonna be mentioned at all in canon.
Now Leia.
It's.
Hey, if a strange man in a robe tells you, now, child, you can never tell anyone about our adventure, you listen.
Oh, God.
It's the dumbest thing.
It's so stupid.
And remember how she, like, oh, my God. And it's just, like, I'm so tired of, like, these, like, highly intellectual, precocious, like, 8-year-old character types. Like...
I get it. They're trying to, like... The problem is like, they were trying to... sledgehammer over your head the fact that it's Princess Leia. Mm-hmm. So they had her act like Carrie Fisher. And it's like, you can't...
No kid's the same as a grown-up.
You can't do that.
Yeah. So you mean to tell me from a child to... So what could have been an intelligent child is now a puerile adult, is what you're telling me, because she refuses to evolve and adapt. So this Princess Leia we're seeing later is just a child. She has not matured past childhood.
There is so fucking stupid.
I did not like that show.
There's the third sister was dumb.
Third sister is the dumbest. And you know what? Did you ever play Jedi Fallen Order, the video game?
No.
I did. And they make like the sisters seem very imposing and like you don't want to go up against them. And third sister's whole thing is like, well, if I rise the ranks of the Sith, I can hang out near Darth Vader and possibly take my revenge. It's like
that was dumb too. I couldn't believe that when they revealed that plot line where it's like, also, she's been punting him the entire time. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'm pretty sure if you like flag, yeah,
it's dumb.
If you flag down Vader and challenge him, he'll show up and just kill you. Game over. Also, like gut wounds are not fatal. Like you can take a lightsaber through the abdomen and not die in Star Wars.
They've done more damage to Darth Vader by trying to make him more badass. He was fine. You don't need to make him cooler. He's Darth Vader.
Some people will say that's an issue with the end of Rogue One. They don't need Vader walking through the halls slicing and dicing.
Yeah.
I respectfully disagree. It's short. It's brutal. It's over. It's not like... He throws a guy to the ceiling and then cuts the guy in half while he's on the ceiling. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's room for cool in Star Wars, guys.
There is room for cool. Like, Vader's castle. Yeah. That's awesome. He built a castle in Mustafar, in the place where he died, so he could feel that rage. He can channel that anger. That's badass. That's awesome. They don't even say it. They don't even address it. They just say, here's Vader's castle, and they just assume, they mention it. I think they mention it it's in Mustafar.
I think they show Mustafar at the very beginning, and then they never talk about it again.
Well, they say it's like, that's Vader's system.
Maybe. Mustafar. They might.
Someone mentioned it at some point, but it's like...
No, it's just... Yeah. Kenobi is such a travesty, and it's such a shame because Ewan McGregor deserves so much better.
He really does.
He really does.
He does so much. And that's the other thing. That show is directed so poorly. It's so bad. Everyone is terrible. I have a saying. If a handful of people are bad, that's a performer issue.
If everybody's bad.
If everyone's bad but the seasoned pro, that's a director's issue. If everyone's bad, including the seasoned pro, that's a George Lucas movie. Nobody in those movies were good.
Oh
Even Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, I know. He didn't get much to do either.
He cut the head off of Boba Fett's dad, and now Boba Fett's fucking pissed.
Pissed, bro.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Remember how... Dude, you only get one scene of, like, even in the Book of Boba Fett, there's only one scene where he even remembers his father.
I watched the ending of Boba Fett because she wanted to see Baby Yoda again. I am not using his slave name because that is not his name. That's fucking stupid. She wanted to see him again, and for some reason they put Mandalorian in Book of Boba Fett instead of Season 2 of Mandalorian, which would have made more sense.
Dude, I honestly think they took, like, the first episode of Mandalorian Season 3, and they were just like, uh-oh, Boba Fett's tanking in rankings. Let's just cut it into Boba Fett. But then, like, the end of Boba Fett has Mandalorian shooting a bunch of stuff, so I'm like, maybe not?
Has him riding a Rancor, which I was fine with.
Yeah, the kaiju sequence at the end of Boba Fett was probably my favorite part.
The last episode of Book of Boba Fett is basically Robert Rodriguez taking his Star Wars action figures and just going, yeah, pew, pew, pew. And I'm fine with that, honestly.
I did not, in Book of Boba Fett, I did not like the Scooter Gang, the Mod Squad.
Nobody did.
What was that? What was that? What was that?
Stupid.
I mean, like, they don't even read Star Wars. Like, no. It's ridiculous. What
Andor succeeds where all of these fail by having enough, giving the audience enough credit to be like, you will be entertained by the story
Doesn't
we
need
tell
to be flashy.
and the characters we present to you. We don't need all this bullshit. It's like, we'll have the big dumb ending because that's what people expect. But that's not what the show is about. The show is about Mon Mothma trying to negotiate the Senate and trying to find a way to get the rebellion off the ground without painting a big giant target on her head.
I liked some of those moments with like Bill Skarsgård and all that. That was nice.
It's all good.
Yeah.
There's no part of Andor that I found boring and unnecessary.
Or trying, yeah.
No, even like the ones where it was just like Andor's backstory, there was just enough.
Yeah, and he never, it's like, I was like, please don't focus on his sister.
No. It was just enough. The thing that I liked about it, and this may be me reading a little bit too much into it, but it seemed to me like they only showed flashbacks of when he was a kid when it was prudent for him to do so. Like when he was like in the beginning, where he the whole inciting incident is him looking for his sister, and he kills the corpo. So yeah, that would be on his mind. The minute he's part of that heist and everything else is going on, he's not thinking about it, so it doesn't get showed.
I agree with you. No, you're right.
Good storytelling.
It's fantastic stuff. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's like he's got more important things to do.
Yeah. It's almost like, he's got things going on, and he's like a real person, not, a character on a sheet with a name, and says, that's good enough. We'll do that. That's fine. Yeah. It's like, well, he has to fight Darth Vader.
Yeah, but they gotta ride around on neon-colored scooters.
Oh God. Ahsoka Tano has to be a part of it.
Why?
Look, we all love. She's a fine character, but she doesn't need to be in everything.
Yeah, it's a Dave Filoni thing.
It's his waifu, so whatever. Exactly. That's fine. You create a character, you fall in love with him. Whatever.
That limited series.
I'm not gonna watch it.
I don't.
I say I'm not gonna watch it. Yeah, I know. I've watched everything else except for I haven't watched Bad Batch yet because I haven't finished Clone Wars.
I haven't watched Bad Batch, and I don't think I will. Clone Wars is too.
I've heard it's good.
Clone Wars is too fumblesome for me to really enjoy it. So I've tried.
I appreciate it because it does a lot to fix some of the problems with the prequels. Like just the fact that they kind of personalize and give the clones their own personality is like, okay, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, like Rex and everybody.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's fine, but I'm like I said, at season 4 maybe, and I'm like, oh wow, Kenobi's running to Grievous for the 18th time this season.
It gets tiresome.
I can't do it.
And like we said earlier, the Jedi are the least interesting part of Star Wars.
They are. They could be very interesting if they could just nail them down and figure out their tone and just stick with it.
Yeah, because they go back and forth. Like sometimes they're like, oh, they're deified, and the other times they're like, no, they're not perfect. And it's like, I like the latter part because it's like that makes more sense. Is the fact that they're just like an order, and it's like they're not the end all be all. No. They're not the guardians of the Force. They're just like a bunch of monks that are like, hey, we can use these powers. Let's do it for good,
or try to do it.
To do it for good.
Yeah, I know. Star Wars has always kind of hamstrung themselves by saying there aren't that many Sith, and I'm like,
it makes okay. No, I understand where that's coming from. As someone who's been into the deep, deep lore of it, it kind of I'm okay with it because it does make sense to me at least.
Right. Well,
the rule of 2, where it's just like, if you got people whose ideology is built around grasping for power, it makes sense.
There aren't going to be a lot of them.
Few of them. Yeah.
No, I do understand that, but in terms of a storytelling thing, it makes it so that way. I don't know, you're not really going to get. I mean, they have the Inquisitors, which they could do more with.
They really needed to,
because you need to have someone that can go toe to toe with the Jedi, so you're not just fighting the same 2 dudes the whole time.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's no stakes in it.
Yeah.
It's like every time Dooku's on screen, I'm like, I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But,
Kenobi, the Inquisitors in Kenobi, they weren't fleshed out at all. If you had never seen the Clone Wars, all you know is that guy looks stupid. Who's he?
Yeah, he doesn't even look like the Clone War character. They changed him a little bit.
That guy looks stupid. Oh, he's dead. Okay.
Pinhead had surgery.
Wow, this actress is really bad. She's really over the top. She's really, really hamming it up. Okay, this is terrible. Oh. And it's like, you just ignore anything interesting about the Inquisitors, and it's like they gloss over the fact. It's like, oh, they used to be Jedi. It's like, that's an interesting idea. Can we hear more about that? No.
They were younglings.
Well, like I'm interested to see like how they were trained.
Yes.
Like how were they trained to be Inquisitors? That was probably very bad for them.
I know. It's just they have all these ideas, and then they decide the most interesting part is it has to connect to. They're like, yeah, but wouldn't we need if it connected to the established franchise, and we don't have to create anything our own?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was the biggest.
That's all Star Wars is doing now. Is it's constantly trying to like connect to things, and it's like stop. It's like, you know what?
The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. Oh my god. I watched 10 minutes of Rise of Skywalker and I was called away to do something else. I looked at the screen, I had pause on it, I'm like, yeah, I'm not watching any more of this ever again. Click.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
I was just like, nope.
Oh man.
I don't hate myself that much.
So I got to watch it here at home on the projector, and I went over to the beer fridge, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch this. I think I took 2 sips of that beer and just put it down, and I was like, no. Beer is for fun.
This is not going to be a fun experience.
I hated it. It is the dumbest thing.
You get more credit. I got it as far as them doing like the skid like into the dock, and I'm like done.
You got to finish it because at some point like Kylo and Rey are sitting there, and you can hear a producer yell from off camera, "Kiss, kiss," and they're like, it's the dumbest thing. It is so stupid. And then to bring like Palpatine back, oh my god, what a nightmare! Like none of the movie makes sense.
All nostalgia bait, and that's
none of the plot devices make sense. Like you have to find this magic dagger so it can lead you to where it'll show you
the Sith planet or whatever.
No. So it's like the dagger brings you to the wreckage of the Death Star, but the dagger, which is older than the Death Star, shows you the wreckage of the Death Star. It's like
But they should know where the wreckage of the Death Star is.
Everyone knows where the wreckage of the Death Star 2 is. I mean,
I was gonna say also is like wreckage of the Death Star, didn't they blow that shit up? I don't think there'd be much wreckage left.
A lot of it lands on this water planet. No, stupid.
Andor doesn't do any of that shit. Andor, like, the most heavy-handed thing they probably do is when he gets arrested, and it's just like, oh, you get 6 months. And it's like, he didn't even do anything. It's like, oh, it's 6 years because of this one act. It's like, well, that was a bit much.
That was a bit much, but it also was in direct response to the Empire realizing they're weak and they need to crack down hard.
Yes. So I was okay with it.
And, it's kind of his own fault that he has the bigger sentence because he's the guy who did the previous crime. So it's like, but yeah, no, that was just Gestapo stuff.
Oh god, I love that. He was just chilling on that fucking planet. He was having a good old time. He had an escort with him and everything. This is like, dude,
It's like when you start seeing like Imperial spy like droids walking around though, I'm like, get off the planet.
Yeah, no, get the fuck out of Dodge.
Just leave.
But at that point, you're talking about the height of the Empire. There's very few places he could go except for the Outer Rim, and maybe even then.
Hey, what about Tatooine?
Hey, you can go to Tatooine and hang out with Jabba. He could go and hang out with young Jabba the Hutt. Wouldn't that be interesting? You can get Jabba the Hutt. That'd be fucking cool. And you can see Boba Fett while he's there, because Boba Fett's still alive at this point.
That's true.
Honestly, I'm shocked that they didn't try to shoehorn that in somehow.
Yeah, young Boba Fett's. Yeah,
we got a young Han Solo, even though no one wanted it.
That movie was okay.
I keep hearing that. I just had no interest in it because he's the least interesting character of the main cast.
You weren't curious how he got his last name? Have you heard this?
I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to know.
This is true. So he's trying to travel off planet, I think. And the guy's like, what's your name? And he goes, Han. And he goes, last name? And he's like, no last name. He's like, traveling with that name? And he goes, just me. And he's like, Han Solo. And it was at that point we all knew what gun oil tasted like.
It's just he's the least interesting. The whole point of him was that he was the straight man. That was his whole point. He was the dude who just got wrapped in.
Nobody knows what they're doing.
He's just trying to make a living, and all of a sudden it's like, oh great. Now it's like, I'm just trying to make ends meet, and now I've got this princess, some weird old guy who's hanging out with a younger dude, and that's not sus at all. And the Empire's on my ass.
Well, again, when a strange old man in a robe tells you,
no younglings. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God, and the Jedi prison is like, they had the youngling in there, and it still had his helmet on, and it's like, that's fucking dumb. This is in Kenobi, by the way, where they just go down in the prison. It's just like, oh, this is a prison.
Oh, when they're stuck in like the
amber.
The amber. They're stuck in the amber. I forgot all about that. It was so dumb my brain can't count. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's no prison. Oh no, but there is.
The fact.
Oh,
God.
my God.
And just if
are they gonna harvest their midichlorians?
Drastic differences. You've got Andor, where it was a big deal just to heist an Imperial garrison. But in Kenobi, they're trying to break into the fortress of the fucking Imperium.
Yeah.
And it's no big deal.
No, they just walk in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that line in Andor where they're asking him how he got that one nav computer, and he's like, you just walk in and take it. They couldn't imagine in their arrogance that, like, you would just walk in and take it.
Oh, yeah.
But that works for a thief. It doesn't work in a Supermax, and it definitely doesn't work when you hide a small girl in your coat and walk out the front door.
The amount
they should have cut to this like a security room, and it's like, no, let him go. I'm trying to get fired.
It's
the dumbest. It's the dumbest.
Originally I watched Kenobi just so I could have a contrasting point to talk to in terms of like a modern Star Wars series, because I'm of the opinion that Star Wars benefits from a longer format. The more time that you can spend on these concepts, the better.
Makes sense.
And it's like, I couldn't believe the difference between them. Yeah. It's baffling that the two of them could have been produced at the same time.
So I watched Boba Fett because, Nick's always saying that Boba Fett's the worst of them.
And interesting.
I think that's what he said on
Kenobi's pretty bad.
I think that's what he said on your interwebs. He goes, not as bad as Boba Fett, though. And respectfully, Nick, you don't watch these, so I don't care. You don't watch these. Boba Fett, to me, was, like, fun to a point. And then it became annoying, and then it became fun again. I loved the stuff with the Tusken Raiders. Like that, I'm a sucker for that dances with wolves kind of trope.
Yeah.
It's easy, it's cheap storytelling. It's very cheap
It's
storytelling.
it's fun.
But it's fine, it's fun.
Yeah. James Cameron made his money off it.
He's still doing it. He thinks he's as good as Peter Jackson.
He can fuck right off.
Tell you what, before you released the first Avatar, I would have given you maybe on that, James Cameron. Maybe. Dude, Terminator 1 and 2, Aliens, The Abyss, True Lies, those are all very...
Also, Peter Jackson's not innocent.
No.
The Hobbits?
Oh, yeah, no. So maybe they are about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now they are.
Yeah, maybe they are.
Oh, no, high frame rate. Fuck off.
Piss off, Ghost. I just, no. But, so when I watched Boba Fett, I was expecting it to be wholly unwatchable. And it's not. The acting is, what is it, one take? And they all had to read from a teleprompter? Are you not allowed to have emotion in Star Wars anymore? Can you not? Can nobody?
Andor has emotion.
Andor has emotion. You are correct. Another jarring contrast between that and because Boba Fett was the people, when they did the Mandalorian season 3 premiere mid-season of Boba Fett, you tell me what else was happening. There was more emotion in their voice acting than there was emotion in and the way they moved in their suits. There was more emotion in that than Boba Fett walking into a casino. Yes, good, fine. And I get it, the guy's not in great shape, but put somebody who's in great shape in the Boba Fett costume so that way his martial arts aren't this. He's like Homer in front of the fan in The Simpsons.
I was did they bring back Timothy Olyphant's character for that show?
They did.
Okay, good, because they needed to.
And then they shot him. But if you watch the post...
yeah, that's right, because Cad Bane shot him, didn't he?
Well, I was okay with Cad Bane shooting him dead.
I was okay with Cad Bane in general. He looked good for live action.
He did look good, much better than I thought he would.
Oh, God, yeah.
He was filmed with menace. He wasn't filmed as a joke.
No.
He was filmed with menace.
And he should be.
And then in the post-credits, they show the guy who did the robot things for everybody. He's modding Timothy Olyphant to bring him back.
Yeah, he was in the Bacta tank, wasn't he?
Was in the Bacta tank, and it was the mod squad guy, their primary surgeon.
You know what? I will give Boba Fett credit for doing, they brought in Black Kirstan. or I don't know how you say
I think
his
it's
name,
Kirsten. Yeah,
he was cool. He was in the comics, and he was badass.
I gotta read that Vader run from 2015.
It's so good.
That's all I've heard.
I have all of them. They're so fucking good.
I'm just gonna wait for like an omnibus at this point.
It's really good.
That's what I heard.
You know what is also good? I haven't read the other two, and I want to. Is Chuck Wendig's Aftermath series. Okay. The first one was really good, but here's the thing. It's like each chapter, they have like this like little aside where it's just like beginning of the chapter, it's like here's just like a little paragraph or a couple of paragraphs of other things that are going on in the galaxy of like,
interesting.
How's the galaxy reacting to the fall of the Empire? And one of those blurbs, I finished reading it and I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I'd read a whole book on that. And that's exactly what he did for the second book.
Really?
The second book is Han Solo going to Kashyyyk with Chewbacca to free the Wookiees.
Smart.
After the fall of the Empire, and I'm so excited to read it. Because that's interesting. That's cool.
That is cool. That is very interesting. Hey, Star Wars, there's all these good products out there. Why don't you just pick one of those and do a faithful adaptation to win the fans back?
Well, the fans are part of the problem, too.
The fans are part of the problem, but also Disney, if you're trashing something that has such a strong and important legacy to it as Star Wars, and your fans are telling you this is bad, maybe don't attack the fans right away.
Yeah.
Maybe listen to their complaints. Yeah, you know what? There's always going to be bad fans. There's always going to be bad fans. But it's like, but let's be honest. The quality of your products is not good.
No.
So when people like us, who are, pretty favorable, and like, I
don't think we ask for much. We just ask for a good story and something that makes fucking sense.
I mean, I always think about Russell Crowe in Gladiator. Are you not entertained? And I yell to Disney Star Wars.
Oh God.
No, I'm not.
Oh my God.
Get him out of here.
The difference, it's like the difference between Godzilla 2014 and King of the Monsters. 2014 was good. King of the Monsters,